Hello, everyone. This is Linkimus Prime, and it has been a day, and a lot of Transformers fans are going crazy. And admittedly, I was too when I first discovered this. So there was a lot of speculation about the fact that Scourge from Transformers: Rise of the Beasts is in fact the Bayverse Optimus Prime, and a lot of people, including myself, went absolutely nuts. I did in a very bad way, mainly because I want this to be a fresh start when it comes to the Transformers franchise. Don't get me wrong, I love the Bayverse movies in terms of nostalgia, but the continuity just got so messy. Within two films, the continuity had already gotten messed up. Just things did not align, things did not make sense, and I think a reboot was just very, very necessary. Um, Now, originally, the Bumblebee movie was supposed to be a prequel to the Transformers movies, and it was actually supposed to tie into The Last Knight, mainly with him and Hot Rod being basically brothers in arms during World War II and all that kind of stuff. So it was supposed to basically tie in to that, but instead, Travis Knight decided that he wanted the film to be a reboot, and that's probably due to the many absurd continuity errors and just all that kind of stuff. Just stuff would not align, and personally, I don't blame him for making that decision. Now, just a disclaimer: this theory has been around for quite some time. Just a lot of people really never thought about it um, until now, due to a recent, not necessarily leak because it's an official image, uh, but people were commenting that the Studio Series Scourge on the box for the figure, they noticed, or someone noticed, that his head, specifically the head crest section, was the exact same as the Bayverse Optimus Prime. Keep in mind, however, the trilogy Bayverse Prime. I'll get to that in a minute. Another similarity that was also discovered was the fact that Scourge in Rise of the Beast turns into a Peterbilt truck, exactly like a Bayverse trilogy Optimus Prime. When I say trilogy, keep in mind I'm talking about Transformers 2007 all the way to Dark of the Moon. So just those three films. Um, Now, the theory goes that the Autobots at the end, or at least after the events of Transformers: The Last Knight, had lost to Unicron, and Unicron had something had happened. The universe gets rewritten, uh, or this is a separate timeline or something, and Unicron basically takes Optimus Prime. He reformats him, and he turns him into Scourge. Now, I'm pretty sure I don't think it's proven, but I think it's a theory that the Terracons are actually servants of Unicron. So that this theory would make sense in that aspect. And basically, the Maximals or something are from the Bayverse timeline, and they're in the new Bumblebee universe timeline to help the Autobots to fight the Terracons to get to Unicron to, you know, uh, more so, yeah. It would be a conclusion to the Bayverse, especially with the next three films that they have planned. Now, me personally, I think, like I said earlier, the Bayverse, it had too many continuity errors. While I still enjoy it, just there's so much wrong with the story, and there's so much wrong with trying to make sense of it, uh, that just a reboot was very, very much necessary. And in my opinion, if they go back to that, it's going to cause a lot of issues, uh, especially when it comes to the audience. Not everyone is a Transformers fan, and also, admittedly, the Transformers lore is already confusing in itself to comprehend. It has taken me months. I understand certain concepts of the lore, but I'm still in the learning process. I've pretty much touched the tip of the iceberg. So as a person who has been a Transformers fan for almost 10 years, this would be a lot for me to process. Um, I wouldn't if they do it, and if Scourge does happen to be Bayverse Optimus Prime, uh, I guess I won't mind seeing where the story goes. I mean, I'll understand it. It's just I want it to be a new, just a fresh start, because this is going to be really confusing if this is the case. Now, here's why I think this is false. The thing is, when we look at the design for Scourge, especially with the design that people pointed out on the side of the Studio Series box, this is not the final design for Scourge. This is the concept art that is used for promotional images, because Hasbro did not have full access to the final CG renders to use for the promotional images. So these are purely concept art CGI images that are not in the final film. Now, the other thing that is a bit confusing, however, is the fact that Scourge's head, like the top of that area, is actually blocked off in the trailer. So we don't see what that looks like when we don't know what it looks like. It could be just pure coincidence. I feel like that would just be a random thing to just cut out on purpose. So I'm gonna just conclude that as just a coincidence, because yeah. But the thing is, as well, the other reason that this theory does not work is if he was because the design aspects that people are pointing out about him being Bayverse Optimus Prime is part of the trilogy. The reason it can't work is simply because it would have to take place after the events of Transformers The Last Knight, where he has the Knight design and not the trilogy design. If he had the trilogy design in The Last Knight, then this theory would make a lot more sense. But the problem is if they just reuse certain aspects from Trilogy Bayverse, or like Bayverse Trilogy Prime's design, just a lot would not make a lot of sense here. Also, the fact that in The Last Knight he turns into a Western Star semi-truck, whereas in the trilogy he turns into a Peterbilt semi-truck. So just things would not line up properly. Now, here is my final conclusion about this in general. Scourge, in Rise of the Beast, is supposed to be based off of the Robots in Disguise 2001 universe Scourge. And basically, in the 2001 series, Scourge's design was based heavily off of Generation 2 Laser Optimus Prime's design, the original G2 Laser Optimus Prime toy. And his design was supposed to basically be an quote-unquote evil Optimus Prime, even though he's not Optimus Prime. He's supposed to be like a Nemesis Prime, essentially, even though he isn't. And what I think this is just a simple callback to that fact that Scourge is based off of Optimus Prime, even though he isn't Optimus Prime. And I think that would be a pretty cool nod, like using certain aspects from a past design and integrating it into a new design. I think that's a cool idea, and I think that would be a cool little reference to how they did it with, you know, RID Scourge being from the Laser Optimus Prime toy. I think that would be pretty cool, honestly. Now, one thing I would like for you all to consider, I'm gonna get a little bit deep into some lore here, so get some snacks, because it's gonna get pretty wild. So basically, Unicron is he's supposed to be a multiversal singularity. Now, due to some things that did happen later on in the lore, that is no longer the case. I'm not gonna get into why that is. Watch some lore videos; it'll make sense, hopefully. So from what I could gather, a lot of people were saying that Rise of the Beasts might be somewhat of a similar storyline to the War for Cybertron series on Netflix, in terms of how Unicron is integrated in that series and how he works in that series. And what it seems like is what Unicron wants is to search for something as close to the original universe that he's from and try to rewrite it that universe's history and try to find the universe that will basically integrate into his success, into his victory of achieving pretty much, because Unicron's goal is to pretty much destroy everything, is to completely cease all life as it is from across the multiverse. And if Unicron in the Bayverse happens to be the same Unicron that we might see in the Nightverse, it would make sense if his goal was to basically make something that was close to the original G1 timeline, but make it to where he would still succeed. And considering that the new universe has a lot of G1 elements to it, more so than the Bayverse, that seems like it's very likely the case. Because if he's going to use the Terracons as a as like soldiers to fight against the Autobots, because the Maximals may be onto Unicron's plan and the Terracons' plan of succeeding, basically getting rid of all life in helping Unicron's goal, then that's probably what it could be. And if Unicron's goal is also to basically become whole again, then I feel like this would make some sense if this happened to be the case. I think Scourge being Optimus Prime is very unlikely. However, I think it could be very likely that they may still try to tie the new universe with the Bayverse to pretty much tie it in properly. Like, it's already a part of the multiverse. It has been proven to be a part of the multiverse. Because one thing I have been wondering for quite some time now is basically how the universes work in Transformers. They're known as clusters. The Tyran cluster is the name of the live action universe. And what I've wondered is where each film is placed within that universe, and where Bumblebee's placement and Rise of the Beasts placement goes within that cluster. That is something that I've been questioning. If maybe, because we know so far that Rise of the Beasts and Bumblebee is a loose canon of the Bayverse. There's no connection, but it has some similarities that would tie it into the Bayverse, but it just doesn't have enough for that to properly work. But we do have 2 more films after Rise of the Beasts comes out, and really only time will tell, and the storytellers will tell how this is all going to play out. Personally, I think it would be an interesting thing if they decided to tie it all in, but also, personally, I think that it's just good to leave it alone, leave the Bayverse alone, and just kind of give it a fresh start. Because I think that's what the series desperately needs, is just a new beginning, essentially, and that's what we were given with Bumblebee. and hopefully what we will get with Rise of the Beasts, and it's really looking like, you know, continuity, because I don't think a lot is going to need to be connected with Bumblebee. I think it's very simple to connect Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast because of, well, first off, a long, almost decade time gap between the two films, and there's not a lot of story that needs to be told within that time frame. So luckily, I don't think there is a possible way for them to screw up the continuity between Bumblebee and Rise of the Beasts. But they really are going to have to be careful with the next two films afterwards. So really time will tell where it all goes. Now, before people comment that I'm wrong about a few things, I know I might be wrong about some stuff. I literally take everything I have said with a grain of salt. Because, you know, a lot of this stuff is still stuff that I myself am trying to figure out. And I would not 100% trust everything that I say. But I would ask you guys to keep an open mind with some of the things that I have thrown out there. But yeah, anyways, guys, that's really about it for this video. Just a lot to cover, especially with these new theories, and hopefully, it's not true with, like, Scourge being Bayverse Prime. I heavily doubt it. I think it's just an inspiration-based concept. However, anything could be possible at this point. And at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they did some multiverse-type stuff in Transformers. I mean, if they wanted to compete with Marvel, then that sounds like something that they'd probably do. So if anything happens, guys, don't be surprised if they actually pull some outlandish multiverse stuff. Anything is bound to happen at this point. But, you know, still just keep some hope for this franchise. I still have hope. You know, I honestly think that just rebooting the series could be the best possible choice for this franchise, and yeah. But anyways, guys, that is about it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.